Hi guys. This is our feedback for your draft of our antecedent intervention document. I'm Cami. I know we've all met in the big group, but just to introduce myself again. And then from my subgroup, I have Anthony with me.
I'm also here, guys.
Um, we can go ahead and start with our overall feedback summary, which is in this document in our Drive on in our folder on Google Drive. And we titled it Antecedent Intervention Feedback Summary, so you guys can find it pretty easily. And we wanted to start off with some strengths. Um, Honestly, impressive work for our very first draft overall. You guys had a lot of details in there. A lot of aspects from the articles were described in detail. They were outlined really clearly. Um, some preference assessment for clients were included, and their interests were included on the activity schedule, which was really great to see. We also saw person first language implemented throughout the paper. And then the background information summary was very detailed overall. Do you want to take
I
the
also
next
just want
section?
to point out that you guys did a really good job of communicating with us as well, of you guys doing an extra day and then letting us know when you're finished. So appreciate that, the communication aspect.
Yes, and you guys especially meeting with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you guys for giving the feedback.
Yeah. Do you want to go into the next part?
Sure. So one of our first bits of feedback here is the fading and thinning. So we noticed some of the articles didn't mention thinning or fading, and you guys did a really good job of explaining that. I think we just wanted to see a little bit more detail on how you would teach in the actual, was it the implementation our um, in our agency, how we would implement the teaching activities schedule and how we would support the clients in fading and thinning. One of the big parts that we saw that also needed, I think that needed a little bit more addressing, was when you guys were staffing the agency. And you guys said you had 6 staff members, two per, I think 2 per shift. And I think one of our feedback was just that there seems to be no AB or like BCBA oversight, and it seems like the people that we hired in those positions have like limited knowledge of ABA. So we're just sort of highlighting that maybe we want to put like another person there that can do the BCBA oversight as well as the trainings and the ongoing maintenance of programs in the actual daycare setting, not daycare setting, but the living setting. So we would like to just see that area fleshed out just a little bit more. And do you want to take over, Cami?
Yeah, absolutely.
Onto the diversity aspect?
Regarding diversity, I feel that it could have been discussed a little bit more throughout the antecedent intervention, which is not necessarily what we first think of, but is something that we do want to address. One of the big things that we considered was language or reading skill barriers for clients. Many of our clients are not white. They don't come from English speaking families necessarily. So we want to make sure that those visual schedules are accessible for everybody. So maybe having translated options. We're working with clients with reading skill barriers on being able to interact with those visual schedules appropriately. Also,
We really, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
you're good. You can go ahead.
But we really like the idea of how you guys had set up the visual schedules on a bulletin board and also like around the rest of the living facility. But yeah, some of our clients might not be able to read, or like Cami said, read in a different language. So we would like to see that aspect of it addressed.
Yeah. Another thing that we thought about was cultural or family needs for my clients. Some clients may have religious beliefs where they may not be available on certain days or at certain times. They may have cultural practices where they may or may not be able to interact with different activities. And I feel like we could just mention accommodations for those that may be appropriate for the populations that we're working with as we look into diversity with this project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay. We always want to talk about diversity.
Mhm.
And then another thing was grammar and formatting. These are a lot of the comments that you're going to see when you actually go through the document are mostly just small grammar things and comments off to the side, which will show you what that looks like later on during this feedback session. But it was just small grammar stuff that we saw. And then we saw the use of the word are a few times, which in professional writing, we want to use third person as much as possible. So maybe using the name of the organization or something like that instead of the word are, which is less formal.
Yeah, some of like the minor stuff that we saw just in terms of like the things that we kept seeing over and over where was just formatting issues. I think like the hanging indent on your ABC list for each articles, like every single one was in a different indent, and then they also sometimes you guys use capital letters for the bulletins, and then the other times you use lowercase. And then I kept on also seeing a lot of double spaces, so you guys might just want to go over the paper and just check that there's no double spaces. So that's just a couple of examples of things like that I saw, but we wrote them in detail in the actual document, so we don't have to go over too much here, but those are just a couple things.
Yeah, and we also mentioned during our discussion, some of the hanging indent stuff might have been like changing the document from Google Docs over to Word, like maybe something got changed around. It may not have even been you guys, but
It might
something
have been
like
us,
that.
so sorry about that if it was
Yeah,
us.
if it was us, so sorry.
It's okay. We'll look over it.
Yeah. And for the research and APA format section, I want to move that down. It was bothering me that it was on a different page. The assignment said that we should use articles that are within the last 7 years. And we did notice as a group that some of the research that was used was older than 7 years. So it might be good to explain, like, if it was hard to find newer articles, that it was necessary to use older ones, or even just keep that in mind for future assignments if it was just an oversight. And then we also were hoping to see more in-text citations within the annotated bibliography to help understand better like which articles you may be referencing, or even before the annotated bibliography, but during the description of the intervention that we chose.
I thought about
fitting the APA format. What was that?
You guys did a really fantastic job of explaining and summarizing the actual articles really well. But I
Mhm.
think we would just like to see some more of the insight citations.
Oh
You
yeah,
guys did
like
a great job on that we would really like to see where that information is coming from.
yeah, I could tell that you know.
We were questioning because there was a part on the PowerPoint that said not to use quotations and stuff. So we were kind of finding that in between. So we were waiting to see what you guys kind of thought we should do with that, but we can definitely go ahead and add some more in-text citations.
Yeah, like direct quotes are a no typically
Yeah.
in research, but absolutely like referencing where your information comes from is important generally.
Yeah, we had discussed this as well, and we like the fact that you guys like summarized the articles really well and paraphrased it in your own words. But again, just like where that information is coming from is pretty important for us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The only other thing with the research and APA format section was just the reference page. Everything wasn't done necessarily the same way, like with italicizing and stuff, which we went in and marked like the differences and what the formatting should be. So it should be pretty easy to tweak those. The information is there. Just needs to be like italicized or something.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just again like another formatting issue. I'm sure that you guys will address it when you go back and do your edits,
Yeah.
but a lot of it's just like formatting stuff, honestly.
I just had a question if you guys could elaborate the supervision part. And like what you guys would prefer to see, because on the PowerPoint it says that we'll have like we're writing to the qualified trainer
Mhm.
to be the one training them. So what else would you like us to kind of implement into that piece?
There's like a qualified trainer that will do the training for the activity schedule, but I think that just in terms of an agency, there needs to be like somebody that has BCBA oversight. I don't know if I'm
So I guess we weren't sure if we could create more staff than what we were given in the overview of them.
That may
Uh,
be a good question for the professor, honestly.
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
we could search. Yeah, we could definitely message her about that, but I don't know. Yeah, for me, it just seemed like there's 6 staff that don't necessarily have a lot of experience in the field, and I don't know. I just felt like there was a missing piece there, but
Yeah, or we could even reference like our qualified trainer that we do have, and like you can supervise people on this type of thing and assume that they fill kind of that BCBA role
Okay, yep, I like that idea.
if she's
Adding-
okay with that.
it doesn't have to be a CBA but just somebody with like experience.
Yeah, just referring to someone who has more experience in general.
Okay.
Do you want to do the final thoughts?
Yeah. So for this being our first sort of assignment together as 2 subgroups, you guys did really, really well. You guys definitely gave us an expectation to live up to. So you guys were really great at communicating. I think I already told you that. And I think that this is sort of the standard that we're going to have to sort of live up to now, because you guys did such a great job. There
Yeah,
really was,
we were really impressed.
yeah, I'm really impressed with the work you guys were able to do. So those were just like some of the things that we saw, mostly everything that we saw. Everything else is pretty much in that other document.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
go ahead and pull that up. So
and
it's
if you guys
Office
have questions about
365.
anything,
What were you saying?
if you guys have any questions like about anything else in terms of the feedback that we just went over, please like ask questions.
Yeah, I don't know if the Zoom meeting is covering it up for you guys, but it's covering it up for me. But there's comments off to the side and they highlight like exactly what they're referring to. And we
Perfect.
just have those throughout the document. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Okay, cool. Don't yell at me, Zoom. Do you guys have any other questions for us? Or Anthony, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think I'm good unless you guys have questions.
Don't have any questions right now. Maybe as I start diving into it, I might message you guys. But as of right now, you guys did a really good job going over it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
You guys did really good, so
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to find feedback to give you, but
Yeah, we were as nitpicky as we could be.
We appreciate it.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the meeting. Oh, that was just stopping the share.